Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So I'm here to share my favorites for May. As I mentioned, I didn't do this last month just because I didn't have anything that I wanted to share with you, but I have some things that I have been enjoying in May that I want to talk about. So what I've been wearing lately in terms of clothing and fragrances, reading, playing and watching. So I'm going to get into that now. It is winter here now, which is great, my favorite time of year. I am finally feeling very cozy and rugged up in a lot of knitwear, and I've added 2 coats to my winter wardrobe for this year. Just speaking about my wardrobe a little bit, in the past 5 years or so, I've really focused on building a capsule wardrobe. Basically, I moved overseas to study. I had to get rid of a lot of clothes, and when I came back, I realized I really liked not having so many items because I think before then I had really been just buying into trends a lot. You may have heard me speak of this before, but I really like to just have really good quality basics that I can mix and match with each other. I just find it's a lot easier for me when I'm putting an outfit together, but also it really helps with my shopping because all of these items are pretty basic. You don't really need to buy a lot of them. So it really makes me think about what I'm purchasing when I'm shopping. I do, of course, have a couple of statement pieces in my wardrobe, but I've really tried to make sure that those are things that I can fit in with what I already own. So I have 2 coats here that I've purchased recently that I want to share with you. First jacket I've got here is this kind of mid-length coat in a dark grey. This is from a brand that I have not heard of before, and they're from Europe. So I was kind of concerned going into this because I do try to avoid really fast fashion-y brands as well, because generally the quality is not really good. But a couple of my friends had bought from them and it seemed to be okay. And now that they have arrived, I am quite impressed with the quality, especially this one because it is a wool blend. So when I'm shopping, I do also really look at the material of the things that I'm buying. I was really excited to find this because the high neck kind of look I've been really into and looking for a while because of Jujutsu Kaisen. Of course, their uniforms with the high neck collars I love so much. So yeah, I was happy to add this one to my wardrobe. I did kind of size up a bit and go for more of an oversized look with this, but I think because it has the belt, the shape can change a little bit with that as well. Next coat I've got here, basic long black coat. It is another wool blend, just really like big oversized things. As you may have noticed, I never wear anything that is form-fitting. It's just not for me. I like to be as comfortable as possible all the time. I have always had these black kind of coats in my winter wardrobe, but I didn't have one that was this long. So that's why I decided to purchase this one. I did also recently buy this bag from COS, which I've really been loving. Firstly, I really like how long the straps are. I was looking for something like this because I really like the bags from the Row, but being designer, those are really out of my budget. They're extremely expensive. I like how ginormous it is because I do take a lot of things everywhere with me, but because it has quite a bit of structure, I find that when I'm taking it out and loading it up, it doesn't hurt my shoulder because it is quite supportive. But overall, I've just found it's very functional and it goes with everything in my wardrobe as well. Just getting into the fragrances that I have been enjoying lately. If you watch my latest video and when I unpack these, this probably won't be a surprise to you, but I wanted to include them anyway. I have really been enjoying the Rhubarb Thief Discovery set and some of the items that Heretic sent me recently. I just love the packaging of this and how it is a book, but the range of the fragrances that are included in here are just great. I love every single one of them, and yeah, I think it's just a really good variety of scents. 14 carats I probably will wear more soon because I'm really keen to layer it with my favorite scent from this series, which is Beekeeper, which I talked about a lot. This is my new favorite fragrance ever. One of my top fragrances from Heretic for sure. This has such a beautiful scent of melting beeswax. I don't know how they did it, how they've been able to capture this, but I'm just completely obsessed with Beekeeper. In terms of accessories, I haven't added anything new right now. I've got a pretty big range of jewelry, so I don't really need to buy any more at this time, and nothing's really caught my eye. I always have my rings, which I rotate because they're my favorite, and my everyday necklaces as well. I am wearing these earrings a lot though lately. These are from the brand Adenki, which is a business based here in Melbourne. These are the Morning Star earrings. They're surprisingly light and I haven't had any problems wearing these all day. I'll now get into what I have been reading lately. Over the past 2 months, one of my favorite books that I read was Innamorata by Ava Reid. I am a really big Ava Reid fan. I've read a lot of her books, nearly all of them, but out of her more recent releases, this was my favorite. I feel like she really stepped up her writing in this, and the story was also really good. As I've mentioned in a previous video, this book also triggered my desire to read more books in the dark fantasy medieval genre, because generally I've not kind of read those books before. So I've got a whole list of books that I'm looking forward to jumping into in June. I will stress again that this book is very dark. There were some scenes in this that were really disturbing as well. So if you are thinking about reading this one, I really encourage you to check out the trigger warnings before, just in case. The start of this month, I was fortunate enough to go to the Melbourne Writers Festival, where I went to a discussion with the author R.F. Kuang, and I was able to get my copy of Catabasis Sign, which was such a great experience. So right now I'm in between books. Next week in my Patreon book club, we're going to be studying Japanese Gothic, which is a new release that I'm really excited to get into. So I just wanted to read something in between them just to keep me going. So I decided to read Yellowface. This is a book that I bought quite a while ago. It's been sitting on my shelf, and because it is so short, I knew I could get through it quickly. But I started this yesterday morning and I finished it last night. I wasn't expecting to read it that quick. It is quite short at just 320 pages, and I am a pretty fast reader, but I could not put this down yesterday because it was incredibly compelling. This book is about an author who steals the manuscript of a fellow author after she passes away, and then she decides to publish it under her own name, which is just such an interesting idea. But one of the highlights of this book for me was going sort of behind the scenes of what happens in the publishing industry, which is not something I knew a ton about. So the process of what authors might go through with not only writing, or in this case rewriting a story, and then getting it out there successfully and what that entails, really made me think about what my favorite authors go through when they are releasing their own book. It's always interesting to read from the perspective of a morally grey, or in this case awful character. I really enjoy that because it is such a different take. So I really found myself drawn into this story and whether she was going to be caught. Overall, this was just a quick, great read, which I would rate 4.5 stars. So as I mentioned in my last video, I started my annual reread of The Vampire Lestat, but I am annotating this one. So I have done a video before of the 5 or so books that I try to read every single year that are my favorites, this being one of them. But last year I decided to annotate one of them. So I annotated The Secret History last year, and I can't wait to read it again and read all of my notes. So I decided, as I've started to read The Vampire Lestat again, to do the same kind of thing, because I found that it was a really good experience to dive a bit more into it. This is my annotation key and what I am focusing on, just a couple of themes for this one. I'm not that far in so far. I'm currently just up to part 2, which is the legacy of Magnus, and that is a character that I'm really excited to see and hopefully done properly, because he's never been done before in the other adaptations, such as Queen of the Damned. That was changed to the character Marius, so hopefully it's going to be really good. This first section of the book, where Lestat is still human, is one of my favorite parts of the book, and we saw a little bit of that at the end of the last season of Into the Vampire, which was so exciting for me to see that for the first time ever with Nikki, who I really love. So I've been really diving into this, and I've been making a lot of notes, some of which are so long I've started using sticky notes as well. And yeah, I think for me personally, I just really like to analyze books. So the fact that I am doing ones that I've already read before, obviously I can go to another level with this. And I have had people kind of tell me in the past, like, you shouldn't write in books, but I feel like if you own the book, you can do whatever you want with it. I always have an extra copy when I do that. So this isn't my original copy. It's pretty much the same. It's got the same cover, but I totally forgot that somebody just gave me this as an extra. So luckily I had this one, which I could start writing in. It is really satisfying when you get to the end as well, annotating. This is my copy of The Secret History. So I've got a lot of tabs there with things that I have explored. So it will be really nice to fully fill this up and finish it soon. Moving on to what I have been playing, there is a game that has taken over my life, and that game is Elden Ring. So I've shown this game before because I bought it for myself for Christmas, and I've talked to a few of you about it as well. Dabbled in this game in between some of the big releases that we've had this year. I guess because this is my second From Software game, Bloodborne being the first, which coming into was a really difficult experience for me, having never played anything like it. I knew going into this it would be challenging, which is probably why I didn't fully delve into it, even though I was enjoying how it looked and the gameplay. However, I just kind of had the urge to play it recently, and yeah, I've become totally obsessed with this game. Really proud of how far I've come in this game, because I didn't expect, I think I've gone further into this game than Bloodborne potentially. So every day for the past week and a half or 2 weeks, I have been playing a couple of hours of Elden Ring every single day. I was also sick last week, so I had a couple of days where I was playing for a really long time because I was just stuck at home on the couch. And yeah, I think I've gotten about halfway through the game now, and I really contribute that to the fact that last week I literally sat down for an hour or two and I studied the tactics on how to engage properly in combat in Elden Ring, which sounds crazy. It has helped me out so much, and it was one of the best things I ever did when playing this game, because to effectively learn how to fight these huge, very difficult bosses, you really need to know what you're doing, and button smashing and panic dodging is not going to cut it. You have to think about every single move that you do in this game, because one mistake will kill you very quickly. So I am incredibly proud of how far I've gotten, and I've managed to defeat some of these really big bosses that I never thought I'd be able to do. It has been such an adrenaline rush for me, and I just find it really addictive. Not only just beating the bosses, but exploring the entire world, because it is open world. It's massive. You can just keep running around forever and find new things. So it's not just about combat, but the exploration has been great as well. And related to that, it is an incredibly beautiful game. The soundtrack I've been listening to a lot when I'm reading outside of playing this game as well. And oh my goodness, the character design, some of the most gorgeous characters I've ever seen. I am particularly in love with Melania and also Mesmer. I haven't gotten up to those two yet. I'm actually terrified of when I'm going to have to face them. I'm sure I'm going to die many times, but just two examples of characters in this game who are absolutely beautiful. Some of you did tell me that you have put hundreds of hours into this game, and I have some friends as well who have put like 400 to 500 hours in this game, and I can understand why now. So I can definitely see myself getting to that stage with trying to finish this game, because my goal is to finish both Bloodborne and Elden Ring eventually, no matter how long it takes me. Finally, I want to talk about what I have been watching lately, because there are a couple of things that I have really enjoyed. So I have a huge list of anime movies and series that I am trying to get through. A large chunk of them are the classic ones that are quite old. So I did watch Ghost in the Shell this month, and after watching it, can understand why it is considered a classic, because it was a brilliant movie. I can also see how it's influenced some really big Hollywood movies, like The Matrix in particular, because I saw a lot of similarities in between those two. The whole thing just really blew my mind, and I also feel like it's really relevant to today regarding technical transformations that we're currently living through with things like AI that are becoming so prominent. Of course, this movie had a lot of depth behind it. I've watched a couple of analysis videos, and I would really like to watch it again. But speaking of technology and artificial intelligence, I also have been watching the series Ergo Proxy, which was released in 2006, and that's also considered to be quite a classic series. It sort of moves beyond the fusion of humans and technology to the fallout of this and the consequences as well, which has been really interesting. I've not fully finished it yet. I'm in the last couple of episodes, but I wanted to talk about it in relation to Ghost in the Shell, because I feel like they complement each other so well. So it's certainly been thought-provoking to watch these two so closely together. There's been some really big twists in Ergo Proxy that I didn't expect, and some of them happened right at the start of the series. I also really like the animation style as well, so I'm looking forward to finishing it and what's going to happen at the end. Another movie I want to talk about, which I just watched this morning with my Patreon members in our monthly movie session, is the film Angel's Egg, which I believe came out in the 80s as well. I had this movie on my radar for a while. It's sort of been popping up a lot because it was remastered recently. I mainly wanted to watch it because one of my favorite artists ever, Yoshitaka Amano, was involved in the animation for this. So going into this, I knew it was going to be really beautiful, and yeah, there were some really stunning shots in this from start to finish. There was very little dialogue in this movie, which I didn't mind at all, because the way that it was shown with this beautiful animation, it was just done so well with telling this story, and also the soundtrack was wonderful and one of the highlights of this for me. Having only just seeing it, there is a lot to unpack, and we were talking about how it would be great to kind of watch some of the analysis videos after watching it. It's definitely one that needs to be watched multiple times, which I plan to do. I just loved it. I thought it was really great. So those are all the things that I have been enjoying in May. As always, I'd really love to hear from you about what you have been reading or watching or playing lately, or if you have seen or read any of the things that I have mentioned here as well. I will be coming back very soon with another vlog. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.